That music can only mean one thing. It's time for Behind the Scenes Live. Hello, everybody. I'm Marty McPadden, along with my partner in crime, Mark Rogers. Hey, Mark.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. I just need you to center up just a little bit. Just if you would just adjust your camera a little bit so that you're tilt it down a little bit. There you go. Yeah, a little bit more. Perfect. Excellent. How you doing, Mark?
I'm doing well. I
Yeah.
covered about 600 miles today.
Wow, where were you?
I was in Ohio for a little belated Christmas with the family. So, I jumped in the car about 6 this morning and headed on back.
Nice, nice, very good. Just adjusting your level there. So we're gonna get right into it today. And I was telling everyone today I'm gonna be talking about video hosting options. And this idea came from to do this topic came from Greg Dixon in our Facebook group. I put it out there a few weeks ago, and people were great about offering suggestions as far as topics to cover. And this is really the reason why we do the show is if we want to cover things that are important to you that you guys want to know about. And so Greg suggested this topic, hosting video, and there's various ways you can go. So I would also invite you to, yes, I know Mark's off center. But I think he's good now, though, when we go back to a shot. So anyways, so I would invite you to join our Facebook group, and hopefully Barb can put that link in the chat. And we would love you guys to offer any suggestions that you guys want us to cover in future shows, any topics related to video production, whether it's behind the camera, in front of the camera. No topic is off limits, and we take it as a challenge. So we want to do what you guys are interested in, certainly. And Barb just put that link in the chat. So we invite anybody. You're all free to join. It's a great group there. We've got quite a bit of content going on there, and it's developing to something I think really special. So anyways, let's get right into it. Talk a little bit about video hosting and what that means. So I'm going to go through a couple different options for you and some pros and cons to think about as far as your video hosting and what you want to consider. The first option is YouTube, and we are actually broadcasting the show today on YouTube. It's really being produced for HD 16:9, and that's really how we're doing it. And think of it as on Blab that we're simulcasting. So why do I like YouTube as a video host? Well, some of the pros for YouTube are it's well known. It's also the largest video host out there. It's also the second largest search engine because it's associated with Google. Google owns it. So anything you post there is going to get the benefit of Google and Google search, especially if you use the titles and keywords correctly. So when you title your videos, you want to put the most important information first in the first few words of your video, and then go from there. And that way, it's more likely to be picked up when people search for a particular topic. So for example, today's video on YouTube that I'm broadcasting to now, that I'm streaming to now, the first words I have in the title are video hosting. And that's one of the main topics of the show. So if people are looking for information on video hosting, hopefully that shows up and that helps the search. Another good reason is it's free to use, unlimited. As far as I know, there's no limit. Once you now there are limits as far as uploading if you're not verified, and it's easy, and we're not talking about being a celebrity. We're talking about going through a couple steps to verify your identity and conform and agree to certain terms. But if you don't do that, I think there's a 15-minute limit per upload. There's no limit on the amount of uploads that you can upload to YouTube as far as I know. And then once you verify your account, that limit goes away. And from what I know, I don't think there's any limit as far as length of video that you can upload or number of videos. So that's a huge plus for YouTube. And also it's been around a long time. It's probably one of the longest. It's probably one of the oldest there is. You're pretty safe there, and it's a great service. And again, it's free. Some of the cons. since it's so large, if you're doing content that you want to be found, it may be a little hard to stick out because you're competing against a lot of content. And I wish I had the numbers for you. It's some ridiculous number as far as the amount of hours that are uploaded per day or per minute. It's a crazy number. So it's incredibly popular, you know, so it might be a little hard to stick out. And YouTube is in control. So, and I'm going to get into that theme of these different hosting kind of being in control. And there's ways that, some precautions you can take to mitigate that. But again, if you're uploading to YouTube and that's the only place you have your video, and YouTube decides to suspend your account for whatever reason, then you have lost access to your videos. So just something to think about there. You know, they're definitely in control. And also they're going to use your information. You know, I mean, it's Google. But again, I think there's a lot of benefit there, through search, through unlimited use, and video is expensive. And YouTube probably has the best deal all around. The streaming itself is really good. So I'm streaming this show live to YouTube Live, and the quality is great. You can stream in HD up, I think, up to at least certainly 1080p. I'm not sure if you can stream in 4K yet, but certainly 1080p. I stream in 720p. For me, I don't think you really need to go to 1080p on a desktop device. Most people are going to watch on the desktop or on mobile, and you're really not going to see much of a difference. And I just lost Mark, so hopefully he comes back in before I end this. So that's YouTube. So another search engine or another video host to consider is Vimeo. Now Vimeo is a little bit more professional service, and what's great about them is it's a little bit more. It has paid and free options. It tends to attract a very high quality content creator. If you go on there, you'll see a lot of professional content. A lot of filmmakers will upload to Vimeo, and so it's terrific there. It also has is really good encoding and video quality, and also it offers customizable and embeddable video players. So you can customize your video player if you have a paid account. They do have free accounts, and they do have paid accounts. Two different levels: a plus account and a pro account. You can, on the pro account and plus the paid accounts, you can password protect your videos. So if you're in business and you want to password protect access to certain videos, maybe you're selling a course or whatever, and so that's good there. Also, you can monetize directly with Vimeo through an on-demand feature. In fact, I'm going to play a little video from Vimeo that they have to explain that on-demand, and it's one of the few services that you can monetize directly your content. So I'm just going to play this now for you.
This is you. You make videos, but you want to make more money. Find a bigger audience. Selling your videos online will help you do just that. Vimeo On Demand puts the power in your hands to easily sell your videos worldwide. Your work belongs with some of the most exciting films and videos on the internet. Our revenue split empowers you to make more money from your work, and our unique marketing support promotes independent creators unlike any other platform in the world. Vimeo On Demand. Join now to start selling.
Okay, so that gives you some idea of what the video on demand is like. And I think the split is 90-10, so it's a very generous split as far as you're monetizing on Vimeo. So that's Vimeo. So the next
Live to air solo. Quick start.
There you go. See that? The next one I want to cover is Wistia. Now, Wistia is mainly designed for business. It is a paid platform. It does have a free option, a limited free option, but it is mainly a paid platform. The big advantage of Wistia is the analytics. It is fantastic, and also has a fully customizable player. Probably a little bit more customizable than Vimeo. But the analytics is what really makes Wistia shine as far as a video hosting service, including now you get the views and you get all kinds of different things there. But the big feature with Wistia is you get a heat map. So what does that mean? Well, it'll actually, in each one of your videos, it'll actually determine where people are watching, where people are skipping, where people are stopping and starting. And with that information, that can help you craft your message a little bit more, or determine, what sections are resonating with your viewers. And again, this is especially important in business. A lot of businesses use Wistia as a place to host their sales videos or their how-to videos. So maybe you have a company making an app, and they want to host a informational video on how to use their app, or maybe a particular online service. Then they can use Wistia and post that, and then determine, what are people, locking in on as far as the information within the video. It's terrific. Now, it does cost money, and the way Wistia works is it works on a bandwidth model. So they'll charge you for a certain bucket of bandwidth. It's pretty generous, and there's various levels. I think there's 2 different levels along with the free level. The free level, you get some bandwidth, and what's great about that is at least you can test out the service and make sure, is this something that I want to do? Is this something that might be good for my business? So it's really a business-oriented system. Now, it's also a closed system. As far as I know, it doesn't really integrate with any search engines. And that's good and bad. I mean, good in the sense that you can kind of gate your content and keep it within your site. And there could be good reasons for that, as far as different types of content you might want to only have, paying subscribers view or customers view, and keep it within your site. And then again, if you want to expose to the search engines, there are other services for that, like Vimeo or YouTube. The last service I want to talk about is the one we're on right now. That's blab.im. And I think that is a service that is kind of has a combination of everything that we talked about. So not only is it a video hosting service, meaning that when you're doing a show, in fact, I just realized I'm not recording this show, so I'm going to hit the record anyways, a little late. But as you can see, we're recording this show now, a little late. But not only can you record you do your show live on the service, you can record your show. It'll host your video on your profile page, so people can come on and watch your videos later. They can search for videos by topic. And then also, the other cool thing about Blab, as you may or may not know, is when you host a show and you record it, at the end of the show, they will send you an email with a link to download an MP4 video, and also the audio as a separate file as well. And you can then repurpose that and put it on another video hosting site like YouTube. You can edit it if you want to, and shorten it up, or take pieces and repurpose that way. So I kind of see Blab as kind of like a combination of all the video hosting services that we talked about. And I'm looking for Mark here, so we're going to hopefully get Mark back in here. If we can't, then we're going to have to go on to some other things. But Blab is kind of a combination of everything. The downside of Blab, I think, is that it is lower video quality and audio quality at this point. It uses WebRTC, and we just got Mark back. Mark, I'm going to come back to you shortly here. It uses WebRTC, so in order to keep the bandwidth at a reasonable level, I completely understand why they do what they do. It's not YouTube Live, it's not Ustream. Those work differently. They allow for HD quality video. I can understand why Blab does it the way they do. They've increased the video resolution, I believe, to 480p, which is just under it's SD quality. So it's a little different setup there. So that's a little bit of a con there. A fixed video format. So if you're doing a show, now you see in the window here, I'm in a smaller window. Now in the recording, the window gets bigger. So hopefully that's a pretense of coming events here, as far as maybe during the live shows we get larger video windows as an option, because on the recording it does get larger when you view back the recording if I'm just doing the one window. So hopefully that's coming, but that is something to think about. And then it's beta, and if anybody's been on it for anything like the time, it's a building process. I mean the crew at Blab, they're kind of building this product in public. So and frankly, the technology that evolving technology, it's in-browser video, so that's being improved. In fact, Google I think sent out an update just a couple weeks ago, I think, a major update, and again, I think it affected some Blab video, some of the quality as well, and they've had to adjust. So it's kind of moving target. It's evolving. So if you're good with beta and good with kind of being on the bleeding edge, then these kind of services are great. I mean, there are other services that use WebRTC, like Appear.in, and there's several other services that use the same technology. But again, it's really cutting edge stuff, and I would expect it to improve as we go along. So that's kind of the rundown of the different video hosting solutions. Again, just to review, we had YouTube, which we are broadcasting to now. The big advantage of YouTube is it's free, it's unlimited. You can stream live to it, which we're doing right now. It records everything you do, so it's recording the show. It'll be in my YouTube account, and it'll be available for playback. It's HD, up to 1080p, great quality. Yeah, I mean that's a huge advantage right there. Again, the downside is you still got to go by their rules, so you got to make sure that you conform, certainly, especially with copyright. Very, very important. You got to really pay attention to that, because then they can yank your account, and then there go all your videos. Vimeo we talked about, that's a high quality hosting solution, paid and free. The claim to fame there is a high quality encoding. And also on the paid accounts, there's customizable players, embeddable players, and also password protected videos. Wistia is a business solution. Again, customizable players. They have a paid and free account. The free account, it's really a paid service. They do have a limited free account. They base their pricing on bandwidth. So depending on how many downloads you get, how many plays you get, that's what you're going to pay. The big thing with Wistia, if you're in business, it's got terrific analytics, including heat map analytics, to tell you where people are starting, stopping, and watching your video. And then the fourth, we talked about Blab, the platform that we're simulcasting to here today. And again, that's kind of a combination of all those. It's a great live video chat platform that uses WebRTC. It's an evolving platform. It's beta. And also, and you can do a show. You can have it recorded like we are today. It's available for playback. And also, then you can also get the downloadable video and repurpose it. So it's kind of the best of both worlds. Again, the downside is it's an evolving technology. So just be aware of that. I think, as long as you're ready for the bumps in the road and can adjust, it's, just be ready for that. But being an early adopter, I think there's rewards there, because you're much more ahead of the game. And as it gets better and better, then you can take advantage of that. Now, with all that said, I will say that there's one important thing that you need to do when you're using a video host, and that is always have a local backup. And that, I can't stress that enough, because as I was talking about YouTube, they can, if you're just uploading your videos to YouTube, especially since that's a free service, they don't owe you anything. They're giving you that free service, which is very expensive for them to provide. And if you don't conform to their standards, or if you stray, if you broadcast something that's copyrighted, and there's a challenge, they can pull down your account. And if that's the only place you have your videos, there go all your videos, and you lose access to your videos. So what I would always suggest to anybody is always have a local backup. In fact, that's one of the advantages of Blab, frankly, is that they provide you the actual raw video file, and then you can download that and then keep it on a hard drive locally and use your own backup solutions. And that way, something happens to the Blab video, or if you upload it to YouTube and something happens there, then you have the video in your possession. And that's just a strategy of backup that you should be following with everything anyways. One way to remember it is using what's called 3-2-1. You want 3 copies in two different formats, one of those being off-site. So if we're talking about this, if you're doing videos, say if you're using YouTube as a place to host your videos, then you're going to want your video on YouTube, and you want a local copy of your video. So that's two different formats. One's off-site, that's YouTube, and you want 3 copies. So you're probably going to, 2 at the minimum, but 3 is better. So at least you have one on YouTube, and then you have one local. And then what I would suggest, if it's something really important, I would have a second local copy on another medium. And in fact, if you can store it off-site, so store it at a friend's house. So that's really going overboard, but that's actually the proper way to do it. So that's your rundown. I'm going to go to Mark and bring him in the 2 box here. Mark, I see you're back. Can you hear us? We can't hear you, Mark. Mark, we can't hear you. Mark, we can't hear you. Your mic's not on. All right, we're going to get Mark squared away. We are having technical issues. No. You might want to just refresh. So we're going to come back. Hopefully Mark can get back in. He's having trouble. He's been having trouble with his mic the whole time here. So it must be connection. So Mark's just refreshing. Hopefully he'll get back in, get his mic selected, and he'll be ready to go. But anyways, what we're going to do also is once we're finished with the main show here on Blab and YouTube Live, we will stop the YouTube recording, and we'll have Mark come in the seat, and then we'll invite people in. Mark, can you hear me? We can't hear you. If you want to pull the mic, I don't know if you want to pull the mic. See, we're having all kinds of problems with mics. Mike is coming in through Hangouts. That is correct. For some reason, his selections, no, we're not hearing you. You have to, if you're going to change the settings, you have to refresh. You just want to make sure you're, if you're having trouble with your mic, Mark, if you need to just use your built-in mic, then that's better than nothing. And you're going to have to refresh anyways. Okay. So hopefully he'll come back in, and he might just have to use his built-in mic. I'm not sure what's going on with his setup. He came in. See, also, this is a lesson for everybody. Now, I'm going to kind of call Mark out a little bit while he's coming back in. But Mark had a conference call earlier, and he was only able to come on about 5 minutes before the show starts. Now, here we are. Mark, can you hear me? I can't hear you. Can't hear you. Did you unplug mic entirely? Did you select the internal mic? You refreshed everything? Doesn't make any sense. Oh boy. Well, you are seeing live a lesson. In fact, I'm going to pause the recording then. You were seeing a lesson live here on why it's important to, and it's not a WebRTC issue, I don't think, why it's important to prepare in advance. Now, Mark didn't have much of a choice. He had a late conference call he couldn't avoid. Hey, Mark. No, I can't hear you. Why? All right, we're having all kinds of problems here. So we might have to cut the show short and bring you into the Blab. Anyway, so let me talk about preparation. And if Mark can't get in, what we'll do is we'll try to get him in. We'll stop. We'll conclude the show. We'll bring him into the Blab, and we'll go in the Blab and take questions there. But anyways, this is a good Mark. No. So this is a good example of why. Now, Mark couldn't avoid. Mark had to go on a conference call, so he was only able to get in here a few minutes before the show, and that can be an issue. You know, when we talk about this as far as preparation goes, it's very, very important that you, especially if you're doing this for business or some type of professional application, you cannot test too often in advance. And we talked about this, I believe, last week as far as pre-production goes. And as far as testing, especially on these different services that use a web RTC or browser-based technology to select your camera and microphone, what I always do, and especially if you're interviewing someone that you may be new to the platform, I always do a rehearsal well in advance. I mean, I'm talking about a few days in advance, and go through it so that we can be relaxed. We can test everything out, make sure that person knows what they're doing, make sure they're familiar with all the settings. And that way, and invariably, and I've done this a lot of times in my business, we have issues, we can work it through. Mark was going to talk about online credibility if you can get in. Now, we will do that. If you can get into the Blab, we'll do it in Blab. So we'll certainly take that. But as far as preparation goes, so I always do it a few days ahead of time to make sure everything's working. Cameras, mics, lighting, especially with folks that are new to the platform or new to this online video stuff where they might not know the settings, you know. And then what I do is before show time or show day, I always test about an hour before my own browser. So I go on, get all my setup ready to go. I am set to go to the show, ready for the show. I open up, especially on Blab, I open up a test Blab and I test everything. And I open up a second computer with the Blab in it and I see if I can hear it, see if the audio's good. Show is, let's see. All right, Mark's having trouble finding the show now. So, jeez. You are seeing this. I cannot believe this is happening. But anyway, so preparation's key. So let me text him the link on the show and see if we can get him in here. Hold on one second, guys. All right, I just texted him the link, so hopefully he has that. So anyways, this is, again, a great example of preparation. So I always, on the day of the show, I set up at least an hour in advance, have everything set up. Now I use a TriCast, I use a fancy setup, so it takes me a while to get set up. But then, you know, and I have crazy routing and all different stuff, so I need to test in advance and make sure all this stuff works and know how it works. That's another thing. Know how it works, because then you could diagnose issues as they come up. If you're just flying blind, where you're just going through a checklist and not really knowing how everything fits together, if a problem arises, you're not going to know how to diagnose it and know how to troubleshoot it. I think that's one of the lost arts, frankly, in all this stuff, is troubleshooting and knowing how to work with different things and knowing how to, you know, determine if I'm not hearing you, what can it be? I mean, a lot of it with troubleshooting is eliminating causes. So eliminating things and kind of crossing things off the list until you get to the root cause of the issue. But testing it is key, including the day of, because if you have a problem like an hour before, at least you have some time to deal with any kind of last minute issues that come up, and then you're starting your show on time. Frankly, the way I approach this stuff is, it's not for you guys to have to wait to see us fiddle around with different problems. It's our responsibility to make sure we're ready, so that when you come on and you're tuning in, that we're respecting your time and we're having content right from the get-go. Now, also another thing is, sometimes what happens is, then we're having this problem with Mark today, he can't get in for whatever reason, all right? So that's why, if you're hosting a show, be prepared to do the show by yourself. You know, have enough content so that you can carry the show in case your guest can't get in. Have a backup plan. You know, I learned this working at ESPN. I mean, most of the stuff you did not see was the backup plans. I mean, 99% of it you didn't see on air, because we would have plan A, plan B, plan C in case something happened. And then to the viewer, it looks very easy. And yes, backup is critical. I couldn't agree more. I'm just going to read. Here comes Mark. So we're going to bring Mark in. And hopefully you can see. Mark? Yes, yes. Why? That's weird. So, all right, guys. All right. Well, anyways, I'm going to conclude the YouTube portion of the show. For those of you watching on YouTube, come over to Blab. We're going to, in fact, I was going to go through this app. In fact, I'll probably go through this app that I found. If I don't get to it tonight, I'll get to it next week. But this I found this app that you can stream from your iPhone to any RTMP CDN, add titles and switch shots, actually play videos as part of your stream. It's a really cool app, and the best of all, it's free. So I think you want to hear about this. And I saw it on YouTube just the other day, and I was like, wow, this is unbelievable. So, anyways, let me conclude this. I'm going to go to the slide and play a little music here, and we will conclude the show. Thanks everyone on YouTube for tuning in. This is Marty McPadden for BTS Live. We will be back next week, I believe at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. That's our normal time on Mondays. For another edition of BTS Live. Thanks for tuning in, guys.